Holy fuck, I'm back to making content. Anyways, what's up, y'all? It is currently 8:58 in the morning. I've not slept at all. I'm not awake, I wish. I did not trust myself waking up early enough to, you know, watch this. That's gonna be, like, you see that inkling just chilling? Is that an inkling? I can't tell. You see this? You see this moving? Yeah. Yeah, that's my brain right now. I'm fucked. I probably should not be swearing so much, because I have to edit this. Bruh. So that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to end up editing this down like later. Like after this. And the thing is, it's gonna be fucking 30 minutes of this. Oh boy. You know, in retrospect, I could have just, like, you know, I could have just not did this. But, show must go on, as they say. I'm tired. I should turn off chat. Because if there's one thing a Nintendo fan doesn't like seeing, it's other Nintendo fans. Or, at least that was the plan. Hey guys. It's me, from like a week before the game's release. So, originally, this video was supposed to come out minimum a few days after the whole direct. Guess what? I failed to realize what audio balancing is, and yeah, 90% of the reaction is just blaring ass music, to the point where you probably wouldn't be able to hear me anyways. So what I'm gonna do instead is editor, I need you to put on some gameplay in the background. I need you to also just display images of stuff I'm talking about. Alrighty? I bet. Now then, let's move on with the show. You know, for a while I was thinking about how was I going to be able to salvage this, and then I thought I might as well do it this way, since it's probably going to be better off in the long run. I get my thoughts out, and it's still unscripted. I don't have anything particularly jotted down, so luckily this will be a nice alternative. I do want to note that the gameplay footage used, the small VO, the Mii, that's in the past where I was recording that. And the Mii now, I'll be over here, minding my business. I'll probably mostly just, like, I'll bring up an image of something, and that will be when I show up again. Me, current me. That's probably also editing this, like, 2 days before the game fucking releases. So that'd be great. That'd be great. Also, if you guys want me to edit down this gameplay footage and have the audio present, let me know. And yeah, let's rock on with the show. All right. So the first thing the direct brings up is the new location, the new hub of the game, which is Splatsville. In my opinion, I like Splatsville. I like Ingopolis, Plaza, and Square. Mostly because they're like cityscape. I'm used to like being in the city, and you know, to me that's just like, yeah, I do like these locales. They feel like real places. They are a little out there, but that's kind of the point. Splatsville definitely feels like an entirely different location. It feels like, if I want to put it into words, it's basically the one part of Injincho where like you deal with Zhao and all of that in Yakuza 7. I forget the name of the place and the name of the gang at the moment, but if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. It's that location. And overall, I do like it as well. It's a surprisingly large hub world. If you were to like boot up the demo and like actually walk around, it's like surprisingly big. You wouldn't think so from it being like this sort of like cramped city space, but even though it's like very compact looking, it's surprisingly big to like walk around in. It's initially not as spacious, but it's definitely like it has a lot of area to it, so I greatly do appreciate that. The very next thing they basically go really into is basically like gameplay. Most of it is basically like just basic stuff like, oh, ink turf to win, but they specifically mention the Squid Surge and the Squid Roll. The Squid Surge is a bit interesting. You hold down the jump button and, well, you shoot up. The Squid Roll is basically an invincible, like, dodge back. It's not a dodge back. I shouldn't call it, because it's not a dodge. You still get hit. But basically, it's like a very fast turnaround, which is definitely warranted, because in a lot of cases you can get like instantly flanked by like a lot of different weapons, so this is definitely helpful. I think one of the things they mention is the fact that it can reflect shots. I don't entirely know what it means because I'm dumb. I'm a big dum-dum, but for the most part, these are good additions. The Squid Surge, I'm a bit iffy on because you could just spam the button anyways to go up, but I guess instead of, you know, mashing your B button into oblivion, the next alternative is just hold it. And they do cover later on, you do get certain ability slots that allow you the charge of that to be like even faster, so it would be like arguably just straight up better than just mashing, but we'll have to see how like great the effect can be, you know. Next up, the thing the direct covers are the stages, and for the most part the stages, you know, they're stages. First there was Scorch Gorge. It's a desert area, still a really rusty looking area. It's alright. Unfortunately, I didn't play too much of the demo, so a lot of the stages I didn't even get a chance to play, if they even were in the rotation. So there's that. There's also Eeltail Alley, which it looks like a construction site, like that one stage in Splatoon 2. I forget what it's called, but it's the really narrow stage in Splatoon 2 where it kind of just, it's just a big strip, if I had to like put it plainly. It also just kind of feels, to me, just initially looking at it, it just feels like Golby Arena. I'm gonna be honest. It's not the exact same vibe, but it kind of just gives off that same impression to me. Mincemeat Metalworks, it's a factory. That's one of the stages I didn't play on. Undertow Spillway, another one I didn't really play on too much, so I don't got much to say about it. Hagglefish Market, it's a market area. I do actually really like market areas that look like that, so luckily it's right up my alley. Museum Dalfonsino, I don't even know how you'd say that. I could just look back at it, but I'm too lazy to. It's another fucking museum stage. It's whatever. This was one of the stages I did get to play on, if I remember correctly. The maps are definitely a lot bigger in 2 than they were, or in 3 than they were in 2, so there's definitely that as well. This is definitely one of the bigger ones. Hammerhead Bridge, it's a bridge. I got nothing else to say. Mahi Mahi, it's a water stage. I fell in the pool like 4 times by accident, trying to make that one jump to like to the upper platform. And then they also introduced the fact that there were 4 returning stages that were coming back in Splatoon 3, which are Inkblot Art Academy, Sturgeon's Shipyard, Makomart, and Wahoo World. Which, yeah, those are the returning stages. Inkblot Academy, I think that's the one with the overhead, the glass overhead in the middle of the arena. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't really like the layout. Sturgeon Shipyard, Sturgeon Shipyard, it's okay. Makomart I like because it takes place inside of a supermarket, which I find to be funny. And Wahoo World, it's okay. It's alright. Overall, I think the stages are, they're okay. I like them. They're not offensive. They're not bad. They're just, they're stages. They're stages. They're what you kind of expect, to be honest. One more thing is that they also noted the fact that there will be more stages coming soon. Both, it seems like it's going to be both new and returning stages, which, that's a good thing. I don't know the count of Splatoon 2's stages, but if we get content like that, like over the span of like this game's lifetime, then it's definitely good for a game like this. And before, some people will be like, cause I even made this joke during the original recording when I did the direct. I made this joke where I was like, oh, look at, there's gonna be people probably bitching about the fact that we're getting like free DLC or like free content updates, because I can think of somebody off the top of my head that does that shit, and I'm just like, do you just not want extra content in your game? I'm confused. But that's like, that could be something for like another video. I don't want to get too deep into it before I like turn this into something else. But overall I think adding extra stages would be nice. Gives us more content, gives us like more range in what the stages could be. I'm very interested to see what they have planned in terms of what stages we're getting, both new and returning. So we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely intrigued by it. Of course, I'm all for it. The next thing they talk about is the fact that all returning weapons are coming back, and that's good. I did like the weapon variety that we had in Splatoon 2, at least. We had chargers, rollers, even though I hate most rollers, splatter shots, snipers, like all the different kinds of weapons. I greatly appreciated. Of course, I have my favorites. Everyone has their favorites, and I think that's a good thing. People can grow attached to like a certain weapon class. And thus far, they introduced 2 other weapon classes as well: the Stringers and the Splatanas. I think the Splatanas are really cool. Admittedly, the Stringers are also really cool. I keep wanting to call them Stingers, but that's not what they're called. They're Stringers. The Stringers are the bows, and I like the bow weapon. I think it's pretty cool. I thought it was going to be the weapon you started the game with, not the Splattershot Jr. But then again, it would be like such an anti-beginner weapon because it's not the basic shooter. But at the same time, it would be more befitting for it to be the Stringer and be like, hey, we're in a completely different locale. We are not in like the city anymore. We're like basically in the wilds. So that's the impression I got. And there's a plane flying overhead. I literally can't record worth shit. Jesus Christ. The next thing they showed off was, well, like, this is still during the weapons section. He showed off like the different specials you can get, the different special weapons. And I do remember they covered, I don't think they really covered some of the newer ones that well. they covered Tacticooler, which I thought was really cool. This was the replacement for the ink armor, which I think it replacing the ink armor because it technically serves a different purpose. It's still a support special, but it's alright. I don't like the fact that the special itself requires you to be you need to be kid form in order to take the soda. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. You have to be in kid form to take it. You can't be in squid form. So there's that. The tank, I didn't get a chance to use it yet. It looks interesting, so we'll see how that goes. The slinging one, I thought was kind of the coolest one, where you're just basically Spider-Man. You just fly across the map. I thought that was pretty cool, where you can make yourself get into enemy just straight up enemy spawn potentially, and then ink that area. I thought that was really cool. The Killer Whale 5.1, even though I think it's a 6-shot, I think it's just kind of funny because it's it's something I'll touch on later, but the fact that it has infinite range, and yet it can go in 6 different potential directions because it tracks different enemies. It's kind of funny. The Wave Breaker's alright. It's okay. It's not something. If you know it's down, then it's not really all that big of a deal. You can get splatted by it, which I'll admit to the fact I did get splatted by it once, but that's because it was the only wave breaker I saw, and it was right next to me, so it kind of just caught me. There's also the fact that I think this was supposed to be the answer to the locator from 1, but I think it has a limited range, and it's whatever. It's whatever. I just think it's okay. Reef Slider is probably one of my favorite new ones, or probably straight up my favorite new one, because it's just the Akira bike slide, the special. It's kind of funny. I do like it. There is a note about it that I want to make, and it's the fact that you can just end up riding yourself off a ledge. So you can quite literally just catch someone off guard by driving off a ramp and then just blowing up right in their face. And there's not a damn thing they can probably do about it, except probably knock you out. But I don't know. Tenno Missiles make a return, and personally I like Tenno Missiles, but the greater competitive Splatoon 2 community doesn't like them. To which I'm I only found out about that recently too. It's damn, that's crazy. But to me, I just think it makes sense. The Inkjet, it's the Inkjet. It's whatever. It's fine. Inkstorm, I was more upset about the fact that the Inkstorm came back than Tenno Missiles, because I like Tenno Missiles. Inkstorm, I think Inkstorm is more. It's not really a special I like having, because yes, it's meant to it can manipulate movement, but the problem is that it's gonna be so minuscule, and it's it doesn't really matter to me all that much. Ultra Stamp, I love Hammer Time. I think I've showed it off on stream multiple times that I love Ultra Stamp. I love using it. I love comboing or chaining different kills together with it. Booyah Bomb is Booyah Bomb. I love Booyah Bomb. I am just hoping the explosion radius is a little bigger. Just so I get caught by it more often, which is going to be fun, but it's the Decad Spear Bomb, you know? I just like it. Overall, I think the new specials, I think they're alright. I think they bring back some older ones like the Ink Strike and the Ink Zuka. Or I think it's called the Triple Ink Zuka, because it's only 3 shots. But yeah. One thing I do want to briefly touch on is that the next thing they cover was the fact that you don't use money to buy the weapons anymore. It's just using Sheldon licenses. The way to describe it is basically when you level up, you get a Sheldon license. When your freshness rank on the weapon goes up, you get a Sheldon license, and you can use those licenses to purchase new weapons. And I do remember that they also said you can dump more. You can dump even more of those licenses, and you can get like later level weapons a lot sooner. Well, not a lot sooner, but like you can get them sooner than you would than just having to level up to that specific level and then getting those weapons, which I think that's fair. I think that's a fair compromise, in my opinion. You get the weapons you want sooner, but at the cost of the fact that you probably can't get a different weapon that you could get much sooner. So it does make people pick their favorites just off the bat, but we'll see how the scaling works. While on the topic of shopping, the next thing they cover is the shopping. You can get different gear, but that's kind of the same as it was in literally every other game. It's nothing all that special. I do know that it's gonna come up later, but it does come up later in the direct. But basically, they allow you to like customize lockers and other things, and you get it from the specific shop run by Melody, I believe her name is. And I like her. She seems like a cool. She seems like a cool character. I really like her. And I like the fact that you could just, I like personalization, I like customization like that. I live for that shit. Like the chance to like personalize your own locker the way you want to, and having it different ways. I greatly appreciate that. It's not even funny how much I appreciate that. Another thing they touch on is the fact that merch can straight up change the ability on different pieces. So for those who don't really know, every piece of clothing has a main slot and 3 sub slots, or can go up to 3 slots. From what it looked like in the trailer, or at least in the direct, you can change out the main ability just straight up. I know in order for you to get the same piece with a different main ability, you just gotta hope and pray the shop had it. And typically, you don't have control over what ability it has or when it's gonna show up, unfortunately. It just kind of happens. But the fact that you can just change it whenever you want, that's definitely a welcome change. The ability system, in my opinion, it can be flawed, but the fact that you can have influence over it definitely helps a long way. But at the same time, it does kind of, because in 1, there was like a whole shit ton of like ability stacking. Then in 2, they try to alleviate that with like diminishing returns. So the fact in 3 that you can freely change it, I guess it's to incentivize like changing to and fro, like depending on the weapon you're using. But I don't think it's gonna be that easy. I think some people will still just incredibly stack like one thing to the point where it's like they're gonna have like full slots of one ability, and it's gonna be like really sad to see. One of my favorite things that they added was the ability to just straight up just save like loadouts. The fact that you could save loadouts and like swap between them. It's really fucking good. I love that a lot. You don't have to go searching through the menu trying to remember what your entire set was. You could just pick out the set you want, save it as a fresh fit, and then bada bing bada boom. You're good to like go do whatever now, because now you don't have to worry about like trying to remember what piece of gear goes where. Again, it's those little things that I appreciate so much. It's great. The next thing they covered was the lobby system, and the lobby system was something that, you know, it was actually pretty good. Because in the lobby you can queue up with friends, which fucking finally you can queue up as a group with friends. I don't know, because I know in the Splatfests it's gonna be limited to like 4 people, but I wonder if like in regular Turf 4 you can just queue up with like 6 people and then just go to town. So thankfully that's like one thing they did. There's like an entire testing facility right inside the lobby, which also helps out greatly. And I do really like that. The lobby in Splatoon 3 is definitely like a huge step up from 2. I really like that a lot. One of the other things they covered, and I actually really like this one, was the fucking tabletop turf battle. I don't know, I find it kind of amusing. I like the art style of the cards. They're just really silly, and I like how it's in the shape of like the weapons, and like you even have special attacks. I find that to be very funny. It reminds me of quite a few things. I'm not gonna really list off what those things are, but it looks like the point of it is there's like these orange squares, and I think from those orange squares you can like orientate your next like attack, and you have these points where you can like redeem them, and you can do like different attacks. Like you can use the roller, you can use like Splatling or whatever. I think it's really neat. I like it. I'm a big fan of it. I like side stuff like this. It's a little silly, I'll admit. It's a little corny. But it gives more content to the game, and there's a lot of cards to collect, so I'll definitely be like trying that out, like for sure. One of the last major things they decided to cover was Salmon Run. Now, I like Salmon Run, and one of the biggest changes about it is that not only is it 24/7, so you can always have access to it, but there's also the notion that there's more. It seems like there's more ranks based on like some of the tweets they've been saying. But I like Salmon Run. I like the fact that you can throw the eggs now. Thankfully, we don't have to like manually haul them. And watch. I'm gonna end up like forgetting this shit like day 1. But hopefully it won't go too badly. They also introduced like these mega bosses, and even once every few months, like a specific stage will get like invaded by the salmonids, and we have to like help clear that out. So there's definitely higher stakes, and hopefully the rewards will reflect that. I'm sure they will, because it's like, wow, okay. The only thing I'm really going to say about the story mode is that I find it odd that we're not doing Agent 4? No, Agent 5. We're not, like, the character Splatoon 3 is a new Agent 3, not Agent 4. Or 5, I meant. Because Splatoon 1 had Agent 3, Splatoon 2 had Agent 4, and then Octo Expansion had Agent 8, but that's different. So there's that. I'm not gonna say much about it because obviously, you know, unlike most people on the internet, I don't spoil shit. But yeah, that's all I'll say. Also, Harry Octarians, that sounds like a whole lot of ugh. And that's the last major thing I'm gonna like really bring up that the direct themselves bring up. It are the like amiibo, the new amiibo. They released new amiibo for Splatoon 3, which is pretty good. They look nice. And the fact that competitive mode is gonna be added as like an update, which makes sense. You don't want to like really go balls deep into competitive mode when the game just started. There is still like I think it's called anarchy mode, but overall, yeah, it's turf war, or I mean it's competitive. The other thing they really covered were like stuff that was already kind of like briefly touched on before in like other games, like the post box, the lockers again, being able to take pictures, the Splatoon 3 app, all of that stuff. It's side stuff that even I don't really care that much about, but hey, if you're into that stuff, they got all of that stuff. But I do care about the stuff about like the locker stuff, because again, I really am a sucker for customization like that. I just can't get enough of it, you know. Actually, no, I'm wrong. There's like two other things they covered. There's the fact that there's gonna be major story DLC, probably in the same boat as like Octo expansion, and that's gonna be like much further later down the line. And also they introduced the idols, and then they also introduced Tricolor Splatfest. I'll go in order. The DLC could be interesting if it's in depth like how it was in Octo expansion. That's greatly appreciated. Just please, for the love of God, no fucking girl power station again. The idols, I like the new idols. Like, I can make all the jokes I want about Fry's forehead, but at the end of the day, I do like the trio as a group. I do like them. I love Big Man. I like the fact that they incorporated like a third character into the group. So we technically have a male idol, technically. And speaking of third, the Tricolor Splatfests, and those look like chaos, true, utter chaos. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how that develops. I wonder if like because I know in private battles in Splatoon 2 you can like select like Splatfest themed battles and play those, so you have those in colors. I wonder how Tricolor would work. Do you get to have the option to do Tricolor? I don't know. We'll see. The game drops in a few days as of me like recording this, and then probably be a little bit less by the time this gets uploaded. So yeah, hopefully when I get the game in my hands, we'll get more footage. You know how it is. You know how it be, boys. But I think that's everything that I wanted to cover. If there's anything else, I'll address it in other videos. So yeah, without further ado, that's all, folks. See ya.